Mic check. Mic check. All right, so now we got that squared away, volume down, ringers down, volume down on everybody's mobile devices. Turn your alarms off. Turn your ringers off. Turn your notifications off. I'm sorry?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. All right, shalom. Y'all about to start with the thumb to the brothers. Y'all from all our time about Shemiyah shout to the sisters. We are the ISUPK, the Israelite School, Universal Practical Knowledge, established in 1969, 1 West on 25th Street, Harlem, New York. We are led by Commander General Yohana. We are not affiliated with any other organization. Israel, pay your tithes, man. Go to ISUPK.com right now and check in with the school near you. We got this Sunday the feast of the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets, 7 p.m. Contact the school near you again to see if how you can get involved. If there's any contributions you can make, if there's any considerations you need. Also, get ready for the Day of Atonement. This is coming up on the 30th of September. Have y'all ever gone through Day of Atonement before? 24-hour fast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember your father saying something about you. How did you guys do with that? Not so well?
Cool. So I keep it here.
And you just couldn't, did you break? All right, good man. Good man. All right.
My dad.
Did he, was it on the weekend or something? Or why did you have school? Did he keep you from it?
I think I woke up late and my dad slept still.
All right. This is the day to afflict your spirit, to test yourself, your willpower, your discipline, your focus, to see how strong you are in comparison to everybody else out there. Now you're going to school, you're seeing everybody just lollygagging around. They don't have restrictions. They don't have holidays like this where their spirit's going to be tested. The holidays they celebrate, it's more of an indulgence. You know, we got things that we give up for ours. And even man, like they've got some shit like Ramadan, you know. But even those all got limitations to them also. They're not they're not that strict. And you can always wiggle your way out. There's always a little loophole. But we got the Feast of Trumpets coming up. We got Atonement coming up. Get ready for that. There's ISUPK Milwaukee, Lashawan Qadash class, the Hebrew language, the Holy Tongue. Today's date 9/19. Like, should I get you a throat lozenge or a water or something? Yeah. You need a pencil? You brought pens and football, you didn't remember a pen? Go buy you a pen. Yeah, priorities, I suppose. Why do you even have that with you right now?
I came back from there and I don't know why I prayed everywhere.
It shouldn't be. I mean, nowadays, it's all pretty synthetic. Yeah. At so I can remember last time seeing actual pigskin football. You sitting back here, you joining the class? Okay. All right.
If you want me to join,
It's for you. If you want to fit in on a class, fit in on a class. If you want to be back here, hold media now, that's not also, we got to hold that going on. But it's for the education. So I'm not gonna hold you out of the way. You know what I'm saying? You're 1,000. You know what you're doing. If you're still back here learning something from it. So, you got any questions, comments, or concerns? Try to engage in the chat. I don't know who's all in there. I know the last time, slacking to the brothers from St. Sioux Falls. Afterwards, I had seen them in the chat. I was not able to engage just because, again, we don't have. We used to have a laptop set up here too, where we could. It was a little bit more interactive. We had more capabilities, but if y'all brothers are in the chat, shalom. So y'all brothers been steady with it. And that's how we got to take this.
so I can, it's two people, all the, brother, father and son.
And those are the brothers from South Dakota. Hey, shalom, Maki. All right, so we got a couple young brothers in the audience. Just again to go over some of the fundamentals. We're going to be reciting the language, the alphabet. I need to get one of those pointer sticks here. You got your sheet with you? So, okay. All right, not the actual, you got the actual alphabet info?
It's like, it's on my wall.
It's on your wall. You got pants and a football here. So you got your pen and your homework and your class material somewhere else. It's going to be up to y'all to prepare yourselves for these lessons. I don't know if you're studying at home on your own. It would behoove you to. It would help you out in the long run. Don't just wait until Fridays to get it in. Come prepared. Come prepared. Come prepared. Come prepared. We got some class material here. Try to keep. I don't know if we have any extra copies on hand right now of the. I think we do. We got one right here. All right, since it's been a little bit for you, we're gonna check your progress. You're gonna write the alphabet in the Paleo Hebrew first and recite it. Might need this. See where you're at with it. Then I'll write the alphabet. Leave room. Like you're gonna write the Paleo up here. Leave room for the Assyrian. Because you're gonna end up needing more room probably for Paleo again down here. And more Assyrian. So you're gonna write both documents. Yep. So this and this. This is the handwritten version of this. We're going to see how much you retained from any of our past lessons on the Assyrian text. I'm going to let you go ahead and do that, and then you'll recite them. And then we'll work on numbers, maybe throw in a couple phrases so that we can integrate sentences, greeting, conversation, communication with each other a little bit more easy. I want you to write the Paleo. I want you to write the Paleo here. You ain't gotta be perfectionist about this. Everybody's penmanship is gonna be a little bit different. That's why we practice, that we can familiarize ourselves with the basics of it. It's gonna take repetition, lots of repetition. That's why we have Hebrew classes, Lashawan Qadash classes all across the nation every Friday, usually 7 p.m. in their respective time zones. Be a good idea to practice at home. If you have time at school, I don't know if you guys got a free hour at school on your lunch break or recess. I don't know if you're out there playing kickball, but a lot of opportunities to better manage your spare time. And the ISUPK on the Command of General Yan is the leading authority on the Hebrew language and culture. Yiddish does not qualify. If you got somebody that speaks Yiddish, they can pretty much have a conversation with somebody from Poland and Germany and Yugoslavia and Austria. Because as a people, as a culture, they are related. You will not see those connections in the ancient Hebrew. Membership isn't so bad. Only thing that I would say to keep in mind with this is the size relative to the other characters. They all pretty much occupy roughly the same space. There's only a couple of them that would, if you were to see them in the Dead Sea Scrolls, there's only a couple of them that would have kind of a height difference. Everything else pretty much occupies about the same parameters. But again, this is going to be the point of practice. All right, now let's write the Assyrian. So what your penmanship looks like there. Try to write them underneath. That's why I was saying, put a gap in between these different levels so that you got the paleo here, you can write the Assyrian right underneath each letter, each character. There you go, that's good. Better with the size management. There you go. And then you kind of got lost right there. Well, just because again, all of a sudden you got real tiny over here. These are going to be the same. Even up here, you can see that they're all relatively the same size. About the same space. They're about in the same size box. Pretty much all of them. Now again, it's going to depend on your penmanship. As long as we can read it, it's legible, we know pretty much where you're at. Like, this is a little crazy, but I know what character you're getting at. And I know maybe you were trying to copy what you see up here. Keeping in mind that this is, I would say, somebody else's physical handwriting too. So that top and those bottom rows, that's somebody else's penmanship. Which is just how handwritten, dialects go. A little bit. You can give them a little bit more space between each other. Using your erasers. I gotta get that over here. Everybody's membership is gonna be a little bit different. Again, y'all generation, they didn't teach y'all this. Y'all don't have to worry about so much your handwriting being legible. Today's era of technology. You're in the ballpark. And again, if we're maybe take a step back or look at your paper, but I don't know if your angle's just a little bit different. But traditionally, it's not as much. You can open that up more. Y'all don't have the luxury of, well, no, I should say y'all got the luxury of not having to, not having to worry about membership as much. That's why it's going to be important to study at home, to practice this on your own. This is always something we can go over together. And take your time with it. You're new at this, so you're bound to, it's bound to feel unfamiliar to you. To the brothers in Sioux Falls, how are y'all doing the Lashawan Qadash classes? I know we don't really have a way of checking. Actually, we do. If you have been studying the alphabet and copying it by hand yourself, I want you to email it to ISUPKMIL@gmail.com. ISUPKMIL@gmail.com. If you have not been practicing the handwriting, or if you need a copy of the Lashawan Qadash, the alphabet, let me know. And we'll get some mailed out to you in the chat. Give me your emails as well, and I can get that. I can get some of the study materials sent out to you, because this is one of the more interactive classes. Technically, they all are interactive, but physically, this is a little bit different. It takes a little bit more physical involvement. Again, repetition, repetition, repetition. And just to see how it makes sense to you, how you're gonna write it, your hand-eye coordination, what it is you see, how it is you're gonna apply it.
All right, both of them?
There are two different forms of it. It would be in your best interest to practice both of them, to express both of them. So there's a few characters in there that new characters in there that have fivefold, and that take on another form depending on their position in the world. Hold it in your hands. Again, if we didn't have to abide by the laws of the land, then you would see a lot more of this all over the city streets. There's a couple of us that came from a graffiti kind of background, other fellow artists. But it was up to us. Yeah, and then, because there's a right and a wrong way to go about it. So, I mean, you could commission throw your hat in to be commissioned for murals. In y'all respective cities, with the Department of Public Works, they got you're missing two characters that take on another form. Yeah, get it right side up. Oh, my fault, you're missing three. Good catch. One down. And we're writing them underneath. It's going to be good in the future to leave room when we're doing this so that you can write them right next to the character. So you can see some of the different variations in the size, in the dimensions. Final links, anything you want to change, modify? Oh, you're trying to get those little details, huh? Okay. All right. So the I, that needs to be addressed. It looks like you were actually writing down like the English letter I over here. That's not the character that you need.
So, it's supposed to be smaller.
It's supposed to be something completely different. Show me on your paper where the I is. And the failure, right? Show me the I in the exterior. Yeah, looks a little bit different than what you wrote down. Do you see the difference? Get in the habit of just practicing. Because y'all get to the point of taking your officer's test. That's exactly what you're going to be doing. And you're copying and pasting. I'm not going to lie to you, young brother, this is rough. We'll get into it a little bit. Again, practice is going to make it perfect. Everybody's penmanship is going to be different. Nobody should be the same. But so long as we can read each other's handwriting, we're going to be okay. Recite the alphabet now. You kind of had that right. It's going to be more of a sound. Not so much of a sharp A. Ba, ga.
wa ka ta ya ka la ma na ka I ta qua ra sha da.
All right, clap it up for the brother. Bro, I feel like it's rough. It's a little choppy, but you're very new to this. So some of the things that we got to address again is how you smush this down, and you're not going to keep it consistent with the dimensions of these characters. Seems like you were very literal here, but very liberal here. And how you're seeing it in your head. I mean, you're not wrong. It's all going to come down to how you interpret it, how you see it, and then how you end up reciting and rehearsing. But there are kind of some fundamental differences. Like, I'm not sure if I would have been able to recognize that as a top. It's more boxy up here. This character here, the Zah, that top part should be at more of an angle. Because between this part of Ha and the Da, and well, can't even say Ka, but those would be hard to distinguish from one another. And again, just the height differences, like the Y, like this and this, they're twins. But that's not what we have on the board. It's not what's on the paper. So in some of these, it almost looked like you're trying to be very direct, very literal. And then some of them, we got your own little individual artistic expression. But again, it's all going to come with repetition. Like the guy here, not quite. I see where you were going with it though, but I'm not sure if I would have read that. I seen you try to write it in a sentence. So it's a rough start, but it's a start. So more of this on your own. Show up on Fridays, and we'll go over any inconsistencies, any questions, any suggestions, and we can hash that all out here. But you got to show up to class to have that interaction. But again, taking the opportunities at home, some of your spare time, even if you want to visualize it first. I think you did really good with the paleo people. A lot of us got tripped up with the Assyrian when we first started trying to write. This was a lot simpler. This was a lot more familiar to us than this. It's like that the Zah, that's the same. That didn't change much in the past couple thousand years. Even though this isn't a W, we're familiar with that. Everybody knows how to cross two lines together. So the paleo is definitely a lot more physically familiar to us than trying to get the Assyrian down. But again, it's a learning process. It's just gonna come with repetition and headache. So we can clap it up for the brother. Clear the board. Clear the board and get the next brother up. You've got a little bit more experience with this under your belt. Let's see if anything had changed. Easy. Easy. All right. Erase the rest of the Q, the A, and the D up there. Erase the rest of it. I'll just rewrite it. Mark. What? Trooper, give him up. Oh, you don't need that. You don't need that, huh? You don't need that? You don't need the cheat sheet? You don't need the cheat sheet? Hey, don't sweat. You don't cheat. Ladies, you don't cheat, ladies. Ladies. Trooper, I shall rock his eye. One woman man. What's wrong with it?
Like, uh,
Well, turn the nib the other way too. You're using like this sharp point pen. That part, that flat part.
I'm used to it.
Yeah, that's gonna damage it more over time, I think. You gotta get new markers anyway, but you need to preserve the ones that we have. All right. Ashley got a lot more experience with this. But if you want to go big, ain't nobody gonna stop you. Just make sure you got enough room. It can be a hard thing to try to keep everything in a straight line, especially when you're trying to write over your head. It can be a little difficult. It's all right. It's all right. You're just live on camera for the world to see. You're doing good. Bit by bit, that this becomes more familiar to you. It's gonna take, and not everybody, got a knack for this. Some brothers and sisters are better with the spoken language, better with the pronunciations and reading it in order to recite. Everybody's got their own different gifts, their own skill sets that we share and that we may differ from one another. Yeah, you know a lot of that. Off to a good start, steady. Trying to maintain that consistency. Now we're going to get through this together. We're going to succeed at this together. I think everybody had trash penmanship when they first started. And we didn't know what we were doing. The same way we were trying to recite the alphabet, speak the language. Something that's very unfamiliar to us. So we butchered it. I know I did. I'm speaking for myself. I can't speak for anybody else that's out there that may have had a better experience with it. But I struggled. And I was told to do the exact same thing that we're telling you. Get in the class. Study, practice. We don't just have classes in the cities that we have schools that you would need to attend. We've got over 10 years of backdated Lashawan Qadash classes. There's got to be at this point. I mean, how many thousands of videos, tens of thousands of Lashawan Qadash videos that could be studied. Even if that's an exaggeration, that number's still probably pretty close. Are you gonna write the Syrian immediately underneath that, or I would just suggest to give you a little bit of space here. I remember when General Q was doing the last one with us class. The first class that I had sat in with him, he was teaching on roof. Some of the younger days, I think some of the adolescent days of YouTube right there. All right. And looks like they're all there, they're all present. See what your membership with the Assyrian looks like. Just as long as we're getting the fundamentals down. If there are any discrepancies at a later time that need to be addressed, we can always work that out. But as long as we get a good foundation going, legibility is going to be key. Say everything went up and you ain't got no phones, you ain't got social media devices, we don't have technology. EMP goes off, now everything's just black. We can easily enough speak to each other, but if we had to convey certain bits of information, we're gonna have to have a writing system. This would be, and especially if we didn't want anybody else in our business, this would be a good way to go about it. Exercise to keep everything relative to each other. Again, with the dimensions, that's going to help you decipher and identify these characters when you're reading it in the Assyrian script. It's a lot. Because again, there's not a whole lot of records in circulation that have the Paleo Hebrew. So, I mean, you got like the Decalogue stone, but nobody's going to carry a copy of a giant boulder in their back pocket. That would be ridiculous. You got the Dead Sea Scrolls. A lot of those are still in fragments. But we're talking some rolls, man. It's a lot to carry around with you. There you go. So the Assyrian is the more practical Hebrew script to study, to get acquainted with. Because that's what's in our Torahs and Tanakhs. Now, when we make our scrolls in school, we'll print out the failure. So when y'all see us at Sabbath service, the scrolls that we hold, if you were to unroll that, you see it. That's going to have the Paleo Hebrew in it. And just for cultural integrity, it's important to know both forms of it. And this is something that I don't think a lot of our Hispanic and Native Indian brothers and sisters kind of understand, because maybe we just don't talk about it enough. But I think some of them might be under the impression that we're trying to erase the culture that they're familiar with and what they know, which is to the contrary. If you speak, some of the native dialects, nobody's going to tell you to stop speaking that. We would just say, add this to your arsenal. And understanding the history of the Indian dialects that you speak and the native tongues that you're speaking now. Some of them are relatively new. And then understanding the family groups that they come from too, the family language groups that they derive from. Where does that come from? How did they get that? Their history has not been completely erased from American records, but they are disproportionately represented in history accurately. That's why for them, like the Menominee Reservation, it's like I don't even want to use that term with them, the Reds, but the brothers and sisters in the Menominee Nation, they've got a charter school that's built around their language. I can't remember how to pronounce the name of it, but I had the chance to check out some of the study classes, and it's even that dialect is still you can see the similarities between the Menominee and the Hebrew. Now, I believe Menominee comes from it's an Algonquin family group language, but I'm not sure where the where even the Algonquin would start from either. So there's a lot of research that could be done on there to show the similarities. But early on, in like Christopher Columbus's conquest here in the Americas, when he had landed in the South, I don't think it was his first landing because when he had first came here, he was in the Caribbean islands. But when he had to run in with was it Reuben and the Hebrew scholars that he had brought with them on that journey, they had a conversation in Hebrew with the natives of this land. And even to their own admission, they were Gadites or Simeonites. And it's like Simeon is Dominican. Seminole Indians, pointing across the waters to the Puerto Rican and Cuban islands, saying my brother Joseph lives over there. Now again, as we progress in this, the more and more we do it, I want y'all to save room so that you can put these side by side. Because there's a size difference, there's a dimensional difference between this character and the rest of the characters. And that should be shown. Because that's something that a lot of people are gonna overlook if we don't represent them right together. It's gonna show, but it's not gonna show some of the differences so that when you start reading in the Assyrian, it's gonna be harder to make out what character is which. So repetition. Constant practice. That relish is good, isn't it? All right, let's hear it. Slap. For the audience, for the viewers at home, let's point out. All right, clap it up for the brother. Hold up. So again, say better than the last time too. Again, just consistency. That's what's going to take to lock this in. Our memories. With the language, vocabulary, words, counting. But it's going to be a rough thing to if you're not practicing this. When you get up on stage for Sabbath service in the morning, you get up on stage and you're going to be expected to read. You're going to be struggling with it because you're going to see again some of the characters with the common similarities. Watch out for when they're right next to each other. The Da, Ra, Ba, the Ka. There's not much of a difference between these two, except for the height. In this case, normally I exaggerate a little bit more. Normally I'll come down a lot farther than that. But if you were to look at this in the book, in the script, they're a lot closer in height. That's why it's going to be important to, for instance, the word bless. Anybody know the Hebrew word for bless? We say it in the Greek when we greet each other. There you go. Trooper?
What is it? Is it Lashawan?
No, that's in the name. So I mean that's definitely part of the greeting, but some. This translates a lot more literal than some of the other words and phrases. In the name, and the paleo, Shum, and Syrian, bless. Another guess? Barak. Barak. So more to the point of the similarities that could trip people up. Barak. That's damn near that's the only difference between the Ra and the Ba. Line underneath. And again, the Ka here, if you're not careful with the Ra, some people might get the habit of putting kind of too sharp of a name on it. That's the same thing with the Da, it's the same thing with the Ka. So if you're not careful and in making even just that little distinction, rounding this off a little bit more and squaring this up more, that could be a problem when you're trying to read in the Assyrian. And now to make sure that this isn't the dot. The only difference between these two, again, is going to be that height. Oh, this is going to be the same height as the rest of the characters. But that Ka is going to drop below that line. And it doesn't, again, everybody's manuscript will be a little bit different. But that's why it's important to just, repetition. Now, why? Now, again, this is exaggerated. It's never going to be that tall compared to the drop below. But if you see it in the Torah, it's going to be a lot closer. So now, the possessive pronoun, the why, do you remember what that means? That's our. In the Assyrian, the why. Damn near without that line at the bottom of it, damn near the same character. They both have very thin profiles. Again, height's gonna be the same for pretty much all the characters, but again, there are a number of them that would drop below. Would drop below that kind of baseline. Everything pretty much has the same height until we get to La, then that actually starts off high. But then it stays at that same baseline with the rest. So those are going to be some of the constants to watch out for when you're reading, which is why you have to practice it yourself and get yourself familiar with it, so that when you approach it, it's not going to look as off. We're going to work out the numbers real quick. I think for starters, we'll just go 1 through 10 with you. And action, Trooper, come up here. A little exercise that we'll gotta implement. Come on up. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah. All right, now we've done a little bit of this before. So now write this in the paleo here, and then the Assyrian on that side. Notes always help for future reference. If you ever wanted to look back on some of the work that you're doing, taking notes kind of helps. Now, maybe not all the time. Maybe it's not for everybody. I don't know. Everybody's got their own learning curve. Definitely don't be afraid to erase it. If you ever want to do it again, it's fine.
It feels weird.
A little bit. You're gonna catch a growth spurt one of these days. All right. Achad. We have a captain. Achad. Captain Achad al-Rani. And often enough, there's going to be a bit of a difference in handwritten versus the printed text of it, the printed script. And there's a pretty big difference in between the script that you might see up here on the board or in your books at home versus the Hebrew alphabet that they have available on the different keyboard settings for your mobile device. So one thing I want to say about this, it's not so much, you're not wrong for trying to introduce that curve in there. But again, we're doing the handwriting, and this is all going to be on your personal development. If that's something that you want a little detail that you want to add into it, I should maybe make it a stop here. But I also don't want you to dwell too much on that. I think it'll definitely be easier over time, but sometimes we might get caught up on like the mob. Like you might want to start drawing it out. See it up on the board in the Assyrian and then start filling in. Just to make it pretty, we ain't gotta do all that. So I don't want to deter you from trying to find your niche. I don't want you to overthink it. Because again, if we're gonna be so literal with it, that needs work. Listen, I don't judge you. I don't judge you for it. I ain't mad at you. I don't owe no push-ups. I watch your height comparisons too. Just getting the practice of trying to keep those the same, unless you know it has a significant height difference. Try to get in the habit of keeping everything in those same, line parameters. Imaginary lines, I guess, technically, but so that we're keeping them all in the same brackets. But very good. That is more or less what we're looking for here. Young man, Shanya, number 2. Right in the Paleo, right in the Assyrian, Shanya, number 2. So now, and actually, I guess just to give you a little heads up, because you haven't been here, people ask me to marker. So the way that I spell this out using the English characters is to represent how it's going to be laid out with the Hebrew characters. How he has, are you familiar with the applications of these? Okay. So there's no character shown. So this is made up of 2 characters that would be connected. So this is how you would express that on the board. This would get pronounced by itself. This is how you would express that. I use the dots in here to illustrate the phonetic, like just the pronunciation of it. What's going to be pronounced together, what's going to be pronounced. Because really, there's, this is made up of ah, ta, and da. But the way that it's pronounced is the ha, because the da gets connected to the Greek character. So let's see how well you do with translating that. Slack reply. Did South Dakota respond with an email? Okay. Everything gets written from the right to the left. No. And it's like that's a good point you're bringing up. So in English, using these characters, we're obviously reading and writing from the left to the right. I guess to throw another wrench in there, so I won't say throw another wrench in there, we could start doing it from the right to the left. But I think that's going to cause more problems than solutions. So yes, this is being read and written from the left to the right. And your job is to translate that properly from the right to the left. So I can get the problem.
6 people, all.
All right, well, shalom to all 6 of you. Any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to engage in the chat. We are live. You can put me on the spot, embarrass me for the world to see. if that's, some of your guest goals. Who knows? Yeah, work on the height. Work on that height. Want to make it legible. Try to make it legible for the people at home too that are seeing this from their camera to the board. It's a little small. You got this much space relatively to work with on the cross. Try to keep a distance in between yours and the next line. For anybody that's at home, if you're having a hard time seeing the board, if you'd like a copy of the Lashawan Qadash, drop your email in the chat, and we will email you some of the course material. The ISUPK and the Commanding General Yohana is the authority on Hebrew culture, the language, the practices, the high holy days, the garments. Go ahead.
They have received email and is there any worksheet that they get as well?
Who's making that comment? South Dakota. All right, so the email, and we'll probably, if you could put this in the chat also, ISUPKMIL@gmail.com. That's ISUPKMIL@gmail.com. That's our email address. You can drop your email in the chat. We'll get those, actually, instead of the chat, because it's harder to save it in there, send your email, I guess, email our school first. That way we'll have your email in the contacts list, at least in the history. Yep, MIL. M as in Milwaukee, I as in Milwaukee, L as in Milwaukee. See what I did there? I did that on the best. Now, one thing I do want to address here, there's no these. Yeah, we don't. I know it might kind of look like that, but now this is just a generational gap. That middle dialect, that we call a script. You know, are you familiar with the calligraphy? It's maybe let me show a couple examples of calligraphy. Old English is a good example. Well, I guess Gothic English is a good example of a calligraphic font. So way back in the day, this is how they used to write all this shit. But they had special pens with special nibs or tips on there that would give you the different line weights. So you could go from thick like that, like with this, it'd be with the same pen. How you could get that circle on there, and then that very thin line, the very thick line, and then back. Now this is all done with a computer. They could have done it. I don't know if it would have been this clean necessarily, but there are some amazing artists and examples of this kind of work out there that is done by hand. But what's being shown up here in that middle column, that's also an example of calligraphic nibs being used to express the different line weights and accents on it. So that's not going to be a dot on there. If I could go with the marker. If you were to blow that up and we had, I guess, a cleaner line, it's really going to look something more like that. It's just very tiny up here. It's going to look more like this, and this would all be filled in. And then that bottom. It would look more like this in real life. I'll give you that back. Now you don't have to do that either. Now what I like me still it back to me again one more. For the handwritten portion of it, What I normally do is just a little. That was even kind of slapping from my standard, but so I mean, you don't have to be so you don't have to be animated with it. You also don't have to be that strict with it. So to the brothers in South Dakota, your homework for next class, I'm going to send you the Lashawan Qadash, the study sheet that we will be using here. I want you to practice writing. You're going to take a picture of it. You're going to send that back in an email on Friday. Try to send that to me at about 7 o'clock before class, so I can just give it a quick review, and then we'll discuss it afterwards. Give me a confirmation in the chat, South Dakota. You understand the orders. Yeah. All right, we'll sign the price.
Shalaka email out of sent.
Now, we'll sign the price. Good work. So now with this, that's a little exaggerated. More hand control, and also so that you can get out of the habit of kind of trying to trace over it again and refill in some of those spots. We want to try to get both of you to the point where just one smooth line, one the way I write, especially with the paleo, everything is kind of separate to me. I don't just do straight triangle like that. Even for the Assyrian, everything's kind of separate. But we want to try to get you into, and this is going to come with the repetition. We want to get you out of the habit of having to make corrections like this. In future cases, I will just erase that and do it again. Now that that's it. Why this is so far over is not necessary. If you were to take let's look at the word Nathan. Which is give. So like in the Lord's Prayer, we got Nathan Lanau. In the Assyrian, again, there's going to be some differences in between the width, the height, and the width of some of these characters. That's going to give you the best approach in identifying them when you're trying to read it in the Assyrian script. Now, again, I wrote this left to right, or go back from right to left, a bunch of switch spots. The majority of the characters, like if you see up here, they're all pretty much there's the same size box for pretty much every character, and they all fit relative to each other the same way in that box. Now the Na, it's got a thinner profile than the Ma right next to it. Just like the Wa. It's got a thin profile just like the Za right next to it to the left. But if you look at the Ha in the top to the left and right of that group right there, you're going to see that both of those characters take a wider profile. So this is something that you want to keep in mind when we're writing this out by hand, so that you're just getting in the practice of uniform copy pasting, because I mean, if you're going from nah to nah, that can come in conflict with ba or ka. So that thin profile, comparison to the wider profile, pretty much the rest of the characters, that's something you want to keep in mind and keep in practice when you write these out. So real quick, can have you redo that last word, and then the ya here too. It's almost just like an apostrophe. If I were to keep it in line with everything, it's gonna start at that same height point, and it's just gonna almost just disappear. But now not to confuse that with the Y. That would take on the full length. Thin profile, very thin height difference, a very short height difference in comparison to the rest of the characters. But something else that you're gonna want to make clear too. It shouldn't just look like a dot or a smudge or a mark. You do want to give it its own kind of distinct room on the board in comparison to the rest of the characters around. Let's get shut down again. Now that shouldn't have to go carry all the way over because it does have a baseline. These two, if you want to connect them like that, it does have a base. It does have a foundation. Now, unless you're going to try to get into the practice of like one line, you're going to have to try to define that a little bit more. Yeah, don't go so far. And it's like maybe I'm a bad influence just because of how I don't you. Instead of so dramatic over here, it's really not that crazy. The second one is kind of take over a little bit more. But again, that's just my penmanship on how I write it, but we're in the same ballpark. So again, everybody's got their own kind of rule. Better keep to that standard. And go straight down with that one. There you go, much better, much better. A lot more fluid too. Now watch that height difference too. There's no need to make that short. There's no need to make that any wider. Like even up here, it's let me try to show you between that and then here. Because even between these two, it's gonna be slightly different. I'll also show you how it's gonna look on the keyboard in comparison. So let's just try to find. So right here. So this grip is very close to this. It's not going to be. It's not exactly identical, but that knob, it really don't go too much. It really doesn't go. I mean, maybe a little bit farther out, but you're making that a little bit more distinct than it has to be. I'd say that's a little bit more uniform, a little better, just to keep it from getting away from you. Now let's see the guy. And again, you're not wrong. Not wrong, man. I ain't really gonna say nothing against that. All in all, well done. Well done. Clap it up for the brother. You know what? Stay back up here for 3. Might as well stay back up here for 3. Yeah, the line never changed much over the years. It pretty much held its own. All right, good job. There you go. Now the line is going to start off above. It's like above the normal height line. Not quite. Not quite. It's a little better. Trying to get that concept in mind. It's going to start off high. It's going to end the same. So trying to keep it. Don't try to let it go below that baseline. It should match up with pretty much the rest of the characters. This part you use a little shortening up. See the marker? So it's almost as if you're putting doing the ya up top. And even that's a little exaggerated, but just to kind of get the habit of that curve. Again, it's all gonna be repetition. That's gonna start off above that line, but it should end at that same stopping point. That's gonna be one that's gonna take a little bit maybe more practice just to get the experience, get used to. Yeah, move that over a little bit too. Because it's gonna carry the same width. Give yourself the room. All right, clap it up for the brother. Good job. All right, erase this. And then we're gonna try another exercise to see how this is gonna sound for you. So now, in the same manner, write 4, 5, and 6. Bring it down a little bit more. Maybe start right around here, because when Ash gets up here, we don't want him to have to strain himself to the height. All right, 4, 5, and 6. Now for number 4. All right, let's see how this translates to you. Arabai. Arabai. So you can use the English word or English letters. Arabai. Okay, 1 for 1. There you go. Ara. How much you spell out? Ba'ai. Arabai. Arabai. That's Araba. We need Arabai. 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 Ba'ai. Ba'ai. It's made up of two characters. Ba'ai. It's going to be pronounced Arabai. But just to give you the two characters, Ba'ai. Clap it up for the brother. Yeah. All right. Now, give me the parallel, give me a series. We got it's a good start, a strong start. Arabai. Number 4. How many wives you gonna have? At least Arabai. It's a good number to shoot for. You know, it's always gonna hold you to it, and always gonna condemn you if you don't either. Arabai. Here we go. Now the connectors. What's separate? What's pronounced together? No. So we don't have a history of 3 of them being linked up like that. So look how you spelled it in English. Nope. And really, I can definitely see that confusion too. But so anytime if we were going to connect these two, for example, the second one gets connected to the first one. So the quote unquote vowel sound of the second one drops off, and you're just left with the consonantal value of it. So if it were going to be that, the marker. That's how that would have been expressed. But that you were correct that this does get expressed by itself. These two is what's connected. So now you got that right here. All right, now let's see the Assyrian. Still got some life. Shout out to Quam's Health and Wellness, man, for the resin package. You got the frankincense and myrrh, you got the resin. You get the subscription, man, you're going to be solid. He's got a great deal going on for the subscription, too. Hey, you ain't got to paint nothing. Try to keep this in line with it. We started off tall here, and then we got short here. Now we went above everything here. Let's try to keep everything in the same line. It can be a difficult thing when you're trying to write, especially I think maybe for some of you taller cats. But I need to, like right now, if you were to take a ruler, you're going to see a big slant going this way. Let's try to straighten this up. Or just start off up top. You never mind what I just said. However you choose to express it. And it can be a little bit funny when you're standing over to the right, trying to look to the left, see if it matches up. I'm curious as to how you got that. Again, you're trying to draw like every nook and cranny. Look, this might be easier if you start off with that main line that kind of cuts through. That'd be a good thing to start there, and then you can just add those other ones on there. Some people like I was just watching I don't know how New York, yeah, New York, who always teaches a master class. He's like the Hebrew scholar in the school. His version of it is going to be more similar to the text keyboard version. I don't even know if it goes that way, but only his just a straight line and then like that. If you were to look at the keyboard, the way that they have the I here, number 5, it's very very linear. You kind of draws a dash there. You got one here, one there, pretty much. So if some of those parameters might help, I mean, again, whatever groove you need to try to match, find your rhythm, your style, that's fine. I chose that. It's not wrong. It's not necessarily right or wrong. That's just my penmanship. But if I were to write the legacy, brother, they're going to be able to tell what character that is. So the object is definitely to be within the same parameter wheelhouses, but what's going to make sense to you physically. Like that's still like that's pretty wavy. Kind of yeah. That's even. It's like a diagonal line. Yeah, you can start off simple just like that. Everybody's penmanship is going to be a little bit different, unique to themselves. This is why we're going to practice and practice and practice until we get it perfect, until we get more comfortable with it. We're talking about something that is foreign to us, that we're out of practice with in our spirit, let alone in our hands. When's the last time? I mean, I guess I couldn't ask for my. How are you getting that? The rock?
Yeah. Right there.
In comparison to the other characters around it?
It's got the orange and then
I have to want to get you a line so you can show me this to yourself. If you were to draw that a line across on the top of the rock and on the bottom of it, if you were to draw a line all the way across, do you think it would not be in the same height bracket as the eye? Take a very close look before you answer that. The quad drops below. So the quad's going to be taller. Look right at the shot. It's the same size as that. Look at the thigh. It's the same size as that. It's the same size as all the characters, except for the lie and the quad. It absolutely is. The only one that's not, now that's a yacht. That's a yacht. That's what you did. That's an exaggerated comment. I need you to exaggerate that a little bit more. All of these characters are going to be about the same height and width. All of them. With the exceptions of the ones that take on. I just be smart. No, it's going to be the same height as this. It doesn't drop below that. It's not going to be any wider. It's not going to be any taller. It's going to match with the relative dimensions of it. Because if you were to take that rod and then just add a line underneath it, it would have been bottom. They kind of let you know that there would have been, that they would have shared, that they would have been in the same ballpark with each other, like width-wise. And it's you're coming up a little short. But it's okay. I mean, you're there. You're cornering third base going on here. You're very close. So this is just something to practice on your own at home, keeping consistency with the dimensions of the character. You're doing pretty good with the paleo right now. Don't let the Assyrian get away from you. We're not in captivity no more. But under them, I mean, America's a little bit different. Again, it seems like you're trying to be very literal from the script standpoint, and maybe you're not taking enough lead from, because that middle is the script as if the computer did it. Underneath it is if somebody wrote it out by hand. Now, again, that's just their penmanship. That's a little creative in itself too. But you're trying to make it. You're trying to give it, express it in its calligraphic form when you're just trying to write this out by hand. And again, you got it squished. That's going to be the same size. All of these characters are going to be the same sizes, except for the ones that have an expressed, distinct difference. All of them are going to be the same size. Use that as your base. They're all going to be the same size. So let's get into practice of keeping all of them with the same heights, relative, to each other, same widths. The exceptions are noted with the la, the qua, the different forms that the ka takes on at the end of a word, the different form that the na takes on at the end of the word, the different form that the pa and the taza take on at the end of the word. Those are only going to be in consideration at the end of the word. Much better. Much better. A lot more relaxed, a little bit smoother. We're going to work on this. Much better. Clap it up for the brother. You step down. Good work. All right, Troop, come on up. Wow, that's cool. All right, we got a few more. That we're going to count to 10. You're on 5. So, Kamash. 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 For those at home, notice the vernacular. It's not Kamasha. I'm trying to express that there's a connection between a couple of these characters. Kamash. All right, so you started off, baby. Now you narrowed down. Listen, I think we all do it at some point, and we're just gonna try to break some of those habits and patterns, because this is gonna come important when we're writing out the paleo and the Assyrian. So those differences are gonna matter. Yeah, you got a big old board here, man. Don't be afraid to use it. Kamash. All right, that is correct. You got plenty of room. Okay. All right, that is correct. Well done. Kamash. Okay, all right, good choice, good pick. All right, no wrong with that. Little OCD, never heard. Unless you are compelled and obsessed with her. That would be the only exception to that rule. All right, clap it up for the brother. That was good. That was good. Shasha. Ain't nobody dismiss you. Shasha. 6. Shasha Magun Kobalama. That's 6 shield. Well, Shasha Magun Alawak Kobalama. 6 shield general Kobalama. Shasha. Not to be confused with Club Shake. I don't know why that nigga did it. It's like that Negro, I don't know why he did it like that. I don't know what kind of friends he had that told him that was gonna be a cool podcast name. Club Shake said you're a grown man. What is he like? 6'5", 300 pounds? That is you can't do that. You cannot do that. Somebody get that brother fired, man. We would have guided you right. We would have let you know not to go down that route. You need to pick a better circle, bro. Publicist sucks. Shasha, that is correct. That is 6. Shasha. Now this should be a cakewalk. It should be a cakewalk. I wish y'all could see this from my vantage point. We need to get you. I need to put like the lines on here or something. Something, because you guys are you're out of control. Both of you. But again, it all comes with practice, repetition. I think everybody kind of has that that disconnect when we're writing across such a long board to try to keep everything in line. It can be a challenge. I want you to do that again, and I want you to try to avoid having to fill it in with little marks like that. Just fluid motions. Use the other side of the mark. That makes even less sense. I don't know if you see it. I don't know if you're going too far, you're exaggerating too much with this stuff. So even when I go about it, that's the only one that really kind of gets kicked over. And again, however it's going to make sense to you so that you're comfortable and you're fluid and you're legible, nobody's really going to stop you. That looks pretty good. Just to keep consistency. Don't overthink it, keep consistency. All right, that's good. Shasha, clap it up. Now erase this. Let me get 7, 8, and 9. Rounding the corner, we're almost done. A few more to go. So far we got Ha, Shanya. What was 3? Did you write it down? You wrote it down? Shalash, that is correct. What was 4, young man?
an age of 1.
Was
Good. Five. Over 5. Oh, it's like 7, 8, 9. All right, now 7. Shabbat. Shabbat. Yeah, same. I feel the same way. So again, tuck it out. You almost over it. Shabbat. All right, that is correct. That is correct. Now let's see the Paleo and Assyrian forms. Rapat. See what you can do to email South Dakota the alphabet. Salaki to the Metaboni, Salaki to the brother of South Dakota. Should have got to see you a little bit sooner. Email isn't that hard to do. Pretty quick interaction if the brother has it on file. Otherwise, when I get done with class, we'll get that sent to you. Even if you got to send it from your personal email, but if we got it, I don't know if we have all those files on the computer yet. All right, Shabbai, that's now, you're not wrong. I guess depending on how I saw you spell certain things in the same word, I would almost take that as a nut. That could almost be Shana. And it doesn't really have that crisp edge to it. If you look at like even the script, it's more of a rock. It's got more of a curve, more rounded off. Better. There you go. There you go. I like it. I think that's one of the more important characteristics is bringing that base a little bit past that line. How you did it was fine too. This little again my part, but that's kind of a distinctive feature up here with that character. So that's good. All right, clap it up for the brother. Well done, well done. All right, young man. Step on up. We got number 8. You're gonna like this one. Shema Wana. Shema Wana. Shema Wana. Wana. Shema Wana. Shema Wana. Shema Wana. That is correct. The only part on this, because it's kind of a silent pronunciation, normally, not every time, but normally, when you have a ha at the end of a word, the ha does not really get pronounced. It's normally attached to the previous character, so all these, just remember your breaks too, in between them, for pronunciation points. So at the end of the word, that ha is normally going to be attached to the character before it, that vowel sound that it would normally carry, naha, that vowel sound is going to drop off, and you're just going to be left with the consonantal vowel. But it's not going to be really pronounced. Like, I mean, this kind of looks like an English variant of saying no. Nah, I'm good, nah. And you're not pronouncing that H in there. It's kind of just an extra breath at the end of it. Nah. You don't really hear it, you don't really feel it, you don't really see it, you can't smell it, you can't touch it, but it is there. So that was kind of a curveball in that word. And again, that's going to come with practice and experience and consistency. But yes, when you're writing it out, it will be expressed. When you're sounding it out, it's going to be a lot more subtle. Excellent question. It might be a silent character audibly, but it is not going to be silent visually. Try to keep consistency with the height. You got room on this board. Let's try to make it legible for the folks at home watching. Try to stay in line. There's no need for that. Shemawana. All right. All right. Oh, got the hot. The hot is going to be in there. You're always going to write that into it. Now make sure that you add the appropriate connectors. You ain't got to doll it up too much. I think we're some levels away from all that. Put the appropriate connectors in here though. I want to get in the habit of that as well. All right. Well done. Now let's see the Syrian version. Bring it down. Bring it down. Keep it in line with the rest of the work that you got here. You're close. You're missing an element to it. I wouldn't even. No, that's not what I'm talking about. That ain't got nothing to do with it. There you go. There he goes. you get to the officer's test, you're gonna want to take these practices. What you see is how you want to write it. Again, your penmanship may be slightly different than what you see on the board, but you want to maintain consistency. What you see is what you're gonna write. Don't try to add in something that's not there. Don't try to change. You don't need to change the format, but try to be consistent with what you see on the board. Slack, brother. Slack, young man. Step down real quick and fix your head there. Step off the stage. This is why we got Lashawan Qadash classes every Friday. Every Friday from 7 to 9 p.m. across the board in their respective time zones. We are in Central Time. Central Standard Time, CST. CST, Shema Wana. What you see is what you're going to copy. Your penmanship may be slightly different, but if we can legibly make it out, I mean, that's where we're getting closer to home. That is essentially it. Brother, you did spice. Now, number 9. The shy. The shy. The shy. The shy. That is correct. That is how it would get expressed. All right, let's see the paleo. The shy. With the appropriate connectors. The paleo. Let me get the paleo first. Try to keep it in line with the work that you just did so that we don't confuse it with something completely different. If you're trying to be artistically accurate, you got that backwards, but you're in the same wheelhouse. So I will accept it. Technically, no, but technically, yes. If you're trying to keep it accurate to that, your long line should have been on this diagram. Your short line should have been on this diagram. If you're going to be that strict to it, you don't have to be. But it's good to get in practice of orientation. Which way the lines face, where they start, where they end. All right, now let's see the Assyrian. Now, for that character, what I would recommend, because it's not, like, I can appreciate how you did this in one of the solid school. There's not like an added tail or accent down there. This would have been one element of it, and this would have been one element of it. And that comes with being and again, your generation, you guys, I think you guys got chipped. I think they gave you a raw deal. Because they didn't teach you guys cursive. And they didn't, I don't think there's any, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but in your experience and your level of education at the schools, do they have any, I guess, coursework, practices, or what's the word I'm looking for? standard for penmanship. Good.
They stopped that. They stopped that out.
Yeah, that's horrible. I think they did y'all a disservice. Because there's a lot of things that I think for your generation, it's gonna be hard to tell like what it is, where it came from, how to apply it. Like the script that we see in the middle, that calligraphic style, that's kind of important to understand. Just like Roman numerals. That's an important thing to understand because again, electronics get taken off the table and that's out the window. We're going to be left to these rudimentary and kind of archaic devices of handwriting shit down. But without having any familiarity with calligraphy and different styles of writing, it's just going to make that journey a lot more difficult on your generation. Because you're not going to know how to apply certain things. You're not going to know where it fits in. All right, good shot. Clap it up for the brother. Erase this. Give you the number 10. Just write the number 10 and you can stand down. We'll have the trooper complete that work. All right, number 10. Trooper, come on up. Aishara. Aishara. The number 10 is Aishara. We had Akkad, Shanya, Shalash, Arabai, Kamash, Shasha, Shabai, Shamawana, the Shai. Now we got Aishara. 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 So tiny. So itty bitty. Sorry, we're gonna get you in the practice of keeping everything consistency. Consistency. You got slightly shorter, not as short as it was before. It's just slightly. You kind of jumped out the window on that A, but I'm with you. I'm with you. I hear you, brother. Aishara. You got a whole big old board here, man. You are not going to eat up that much room. All right, I'll take it. Well, we'll just leave it right there. Aishara. Let's see in the paleo in your series. Aishara. Do those characters look familiar to you at all? A different brother in the school? Pronounced a little bit different? Cool. Never mind the rank right now. What's his name? Ishtar, that is correct. Same characters, different placement with the pronunciation though. But yes, good identity. Very good work in identifying. Aishara. Again, it might take a while for everybody to get into their own rhythm with this, to see what's not going to be as awkward to them. Having an artistic background, I think helps, but working on your penmanship, I think will definitely take you a long way in fluidity when you're writing it out, confidence when you're presenting it, and just help build up that experience. I clap it up for the brother. All right, every Friday 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can join us here in Milwaukee. Again, you've got a lot of archived videos, Lashawan, Qadash, the Hebrew language, the Holy Tongue classes from the ISUPK, dating back, a decade, maybe more. I think some of the videos might be. All the different zones, East Coast, West Coast, down south, Canada, doing it big out there. The brother in Toronto. There's a lot of information that you can stay very busy with. To the brothers in South Dakota, Slovakia, I will get you that coursework so you can practice on your own. Next week, I want you guys to have a picture ready of the work that you have done. Even if you want to send me, if you take a whole page and just write it down 100 times, or if you want to give me like a final draft of what you think is a completed, a solid copy to hand in, that's fine. I'll take either or. It's just going to be the beginning stages just to see how you connect into it right now. So with that, Israel, pay your tithes. This Sunday at 7 p.m., we got the Feast of the Memorial Blowing of the Trumpets. And then a few days, a little bit over a week after that, we're going to have the Day of Atonement. That's going to be a 24-hour period. No water, no beverages, no food. You're going to know if you cheat yourself when you're brushing your teeth and you reload the toothbrush 5 times with water, trying to rinse your mouth out, but you're drinking it all down. Or if you're taking medication and you're finishing it with a 2-liter bottle of soda. That's a little extreme. If you are under certain medications, though, and this is going to be something to confirm with your camp leader, certain brothers and sisters that are on certain medications, you would be exempt from it because you might have to eat or drink water, or normally it would just be water, but you might have to eat or drink something with that. There might be a health condition that would prevent you from going a full 24-hour period without food or liquids. If you're a sister, if you're pregnant, you would not be expected to go through this either. If you're a child, if you're an itty-bitty little person, we wouldn't put you through that either. This is for brothers and sisters, men and women of a matured age who can physically go through 24 hours of a complete fast. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns on the Day of Atonement, get with your camp leader. They'll break it all down for you, tell you if you should stand down or if you want to observe it also. It's a good way to help discipline your body and your spirit by denying yourself some of those simple and very accessible pleasures that come with food and drink. So get ready for that on September 30th. Until then, we'll see y'all bright and early tomorrow morning for the Sabbath service. And then Sunday, again, we got the Feast of the Memorial, the Blowing of the Trumpets. Contact the school near you. We'll see y'all around the corner. Shalom. Y'all Hashem, y'all shot, work the thumb to the brothers. Y'all tomorrow, I'll talk about Shem, y'all shot for the sisters. Wow. Shalom.